We're just hearing now from the Associated Press that investigators have reviewed video of 3 men and a woman placing explosives around, possible explosives around this area. Tracy, this is brand new into our newsroom. So what does that tell you? And to the point about the sheets, I think the sheets were also put up to shield the hotel guests' eyes from the carnage on the street. So you're right with those 2 points. But now we're hearing this video of 3 men and 1 woman placing items, and it seems as though they are connected to the suspect. Tracy, what do you say to that?
Well, this is very, very similar to the Boston Marathon bombing that was just brought up, and the Tsarnaev brothers, where you had 2 of them, right, placing those IEDs. This is not at all surprising because I do think it would have taken multiple individuals to place the IEDs, plan on where that placement would be, as well as then obviously use the vehicle to ram this crowd. But what that also tells me as well is, look, I'm former law enforcement. I think law enforcement is actually doing an excellent job here, but it seems to me that there may not have been explosive sweeps that were done of the French Quarter and of Bourbon Street in particular as a result of securing this area, because part of me does wonder if that explosive would have been picked up by either a dog or a device. Again, I can't say for certain if that occurred, but part of me does wonder. There's no question they are now looking for these individuals and combing through particularly that digital evidence.
And Peter, I want to ask you about how investigators handle the IEDs. I want to drill down a little bit so you can explain to us how this works, because it's my understanding that some were found and some may not be true IEDs. You know, what is the process like? It's obviously a very dangerous situation. We know that robots are used in some types of investigations with this. Talk us through how investigators work with IEDs.
Well, the most important thing is the safety of the public and, of course, safety of law enforcement. So what they'll do is they'll cordon off an area, and they will use bomb squads, or the FBI and ATF both have special agent bomb technicians. They will render those devices safe, which sometimes means detonating them in place. And then what they'll do is they will look at those items, look at how they were manufactured, what components were involved, and they'll try to track down where those items that were used to make the ID were purchased, in an effort to identify who helped manufacture these IEDs. But I mean, the most important thing, again, is public safety. And that's why sometimes these crime scenes take so long to process, is because it takes time for the bomb squad or for the special agent bomb technicians to go in there and render these devices safe, while at the same time trying to maintain as much of the physical evidence contained in these devices as possible. Because again, it's evidence. They want to be able to present it in court, especially if they identify additional co-conspirators. And then the other thing is they look at the signature of these devices to try to see if they're tied to potentially other devices or even devices that are found overseas, so they can see who is instructing these people on how to manufacture these devices. So it's a painstaking process. But again, public safety is the most important part of the process.
One thing that I heard in Brian's reporting, the last thing he said was talking about the fear, but also the anger, that these bollards weren't up, that the right protection didn't seem to be in place. They were working on it. That much we know. And for people who don't know what a bollard is, those are those short, thick posts that create a barrier. You know, we see them down on Wall Street. You've probably seen them outside of a bank, retailers. They use them so that people can't ram into a bank or a retailer. And we've seen them in some public areas. Not sure exactly. We've got the cars that Brian Enton talked about, police cars that were used to hopefully try to prevent something like this from happening. But, you know, now looking back at it, I mean, this is going to be a huge part of the story, Tracy.
This is going to be a huge part of the story, no question. And you know what's interesting, Laura, is that these bollards were put up in 2017 in this area in direct response to a vehicle terrorist attack by ISIS in Nice, France during Bastille Day. That's why they were put up. And they were refurbishing them, obviously, because of the Super Bowl and the other activities that you had mentioned. One of the things that they failed to do, the bollards, as you mentioned, at banks and the Capitol, all of those places have them, is they typically do extend through the sidewalks. And that's what they didn't have here. Those police cars did block off the street, but as we saw, this terrorist drove up, and as Brian mentioned, up and around the sidewalk. So these bollards didn't extend past there, these makeshift ones. And in my opinion, that was a security issue that was absolutely missed in this case.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.